USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Welcome back to I Want That Too, the podcast where Disney merch meets Disney history. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and as always, I'm joined by the lovely Lauren Hersey.
Hey, Jim. How's it going?
It's going well. I have to tell you, though, looking ahead on the script here, we're moving into an area that makes me somewhat queasy, and I'm not going to lie, folks, it's zombies.
It's zombies, ghosts, and dinosaurs.
Okay, all right. Well, and don't get me wrong, I love me some dinosaurs. I'm okay with ghosts. Zombies, my problem is I grew up in the George Romero world, where, on the other hand, Disney zombies, they sing, they dance. I still haven't been able to be won over, and we're now, we're 4 zombie movies in, right?
We are 4. Well, this is the 4th. It just came out a couple of days ago, yes.
All right. Well, okay. And it's Disney, so there must be a mound of Zombie 4 merch somewhere, right? And we're going to talk about it today, right?
We are going to talk about it. And honestly, I just watched Zombies 4. Mm-hmm. And is it the Age of Vampires? I watched it this morning, so got all the deets for that. So we'll talk about the merch, like Jim said. We're going to talk about the Haunted Mansions, which I think is maybe the biggest drop yet of merch. And before dinosaur officially goes extinct, at Animal Kingdom, they did come out with a farewell merch line.
Cool.
Yeah, shocker there, huh?
Okay.
All that. Plus, Jim is going to be finishing his story about how Walt getting into the TV business actually ties back to games. Right, Jim?
It does. Okay. But before we do that, we have to, of course, acknowledge our sponsor, which is UnlockMagic.com, which, by the way, the very same folks behind the DVC rental store and DVC resale market. And look, if you're headed to Walt Disney World or Universal Orlando anytime soon, Unlock Magic can help you save up to 12% on theme park tickets. No strings, no stress. They've already helped families save over $10 million. And now it's your turn. So, if you're planning that once-in-a-lifetime family vacation or just sneaking away for a weekend escape, visit UnlockMagic.com to stretch your budget a little further and make your next trip a whole lot more magical. So, Zombies 4. Okay.
Zombies 4, yes. So Zombies 4 came out on Friday, July 11th, I do believe. And this is another one of those Disney Channel original movies. Oh, I'm sorry, it was July 10th. And I absolutely love the zombies. I love Descendants. I love any type of like Disney teeny bopper like movie. Just putting it out there. And I think I mentioned on a previous show that I'm taking my kiddos to the Zombies and Descendants World Collides traveling tour here in August. So very excited about that. But this is back to Zombies Dawn of the Vampires. And we got Meg Donnelly and Mila Manheim, who are back, and they're Addison and Zed. So they're the main characters. Yep. And they're actually EPs now as well.
Well, they had been there for the 3 previous TV movies, and Disney wanted to keep them on board and keep them happy. So this is the sort of thing you do, make them executive producers. But in addition to Addison and Zed, we got new characters, right?
Yeah, because you think about it, like, I don't know how old those folks are, but they're now playing like freshmen and college students. Okay. I mean, they probably are 35. So I feel like there has to be a next generation of zombies in the wings. So that's how we get to Victoria and Nova, who are like, I think they're the next gen Zed and Addison. I mean, I'm just assuming.
I apologize, folks. Haven't seen the film. I am reading the information that Lauren has shared with me. me here, but basically Victor is a vampire from Shadyside, and he's played by Malachi Barton. Nova, on the other hand, is a daywalker from Sunnyside, and she's played by Freya Sky, and they meet at Camp Rayburn, where a rivalry between their two groups threatens to tear things apart. And this film, it plays with the familiar zombies formula, star-crossed teens trying to bring people together, but now it's literally sunlight versus shadows.
Yes, it's actually really interesting because I thought we were just getting vampires, but we also are getting the daywalkers. So there's like the dark stone and the light stone. It's actually really, really cute. And the music, total bops per usual. So I believe there were 9 new songs, and just as good. I actually think that this version of Zombies may have even been better than the last. And that doesn't typically happen.
Okay, now I'm now realizing I have actually seen chunks of the third one of these. Wasn't it the one where the aliens landed?
Yes.
Okay, because there is this amazing production number when the aliens land that's set in a street scene. A huge dance number, actually a relatively good song, but really well staged. I mean, again, it was one of these, you know how you're watching television and you're blip, 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 because, you have no attention span. No, wait a minute. You're a female. You actually do have an attention span. I'm a male. Okay. But I was blipping along and came across this on the Disney Channel and looked up, and it was like 15 minutes later. And it's like, oh, that was interesting. But again, it's zombies. I don't do zombies. And moved on.
Well, to be clear, we have zombies. We have werewolves. We have aliens.
We do.
Now we have vampires and daywalkers.
Okay. And so this one, Zombies 4, there's a big closing number called Show the World, which, as I understand it, Message of Unity, which, to be honest, in 2025, we could use. And you were mentioning this feels like a passing of the torch moment.
Yeah, I feel like it is. I mean, I don't know anything officially from Disney, but it does very much seem like these two are going to be the new Zed and Addison, and that it's all kind of coming full circle for them. They realize, their priorities in life. And so with that, and they do tease at the end, I'm not going to say what it is just in case anybody's going to watch. They do tease a 5th movie coming at the end. It's basically like Teenage Marvel. Same difference.
Okay. And it's worth noting that, again, you were just talking about the big sort of concert tour going out. Do we know if any of the songs from Zombie 4 will be part of this presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually going to be the new Zombies soundtrack, and then Rise of Red. Like Addison and Zed, their characters, I don't believe are going to be a part of the traveling tour. But Malachi Barton and what's her name, Freya, they are going to be kind of the bigger names at this tour, from my understanding, says Lainey.
Oh, well, okay. Then it's very much Disney's High School Musical, the concert tour for that. I want to say that they had virtually the entire cast, except for, what's his name?
Zac Efron.
There we go.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be a lot like that. You're going to get a lot more of the sidebar characters, which is fine with me. My children are looking forward to it.
All right. Very much looking forward to hearing you and Lainey's report about that. But okay, so again, it's Disney. It's Zombies 4. Let's talk merch. What do we got?
I'm sorry to be so disappointing here. I think it's kind of like the Whimsy character from the Starlight Parade in our last episode, where I'm wondering if Disney is kind of just holding and seeing how this film does, because we only have 3 dolls so far on the Disney store as of today. You have Nova Bright. You have the new version of Addison, who is purple in her hair, very similar to what they did with Mal with the Descendants. And then you have a Willa doll. Willa is the main werewolf, and they are all $26.99. And I am sorry, folks, but that is all there is. on the Disney store.
Okay, but I'm just gonna say this because you're going out to. When is the concert coming to town?
So it is, I believe we're going August 14th.
Okay, all right. So I stop at the ATM on your way to the venue because when Nancy and I went to Schenectady to catch the Beauty and the Beast 30th anniversary tour, at intermission we walked out to the lobby and we have this tradition, and you can probably see it in the background here. Our refrigerator has magnets from all of the Disney Broadway musicals we've been to. And so, we got to get the magnet. So we get online, and $140 later, Nancy had her Spirit jersey and a bag with the logo on it. And the magnet. So I predict when you get to the concert venue, don't worry, there'll be plenty of Zombies merch for you and Lainey to purchase.
Yes. And just to clarify, folks, this is why Jim and I have a merch show.
There we go.
Because we're both suckers.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of which, an attraction I love at the park is the Haunted Mansion. But at the same time, it's just fascinating because you think at this point they would have run out of things to turn into merch, and that is just clearly not the case.
I don't get why. Maybe there's an anniversary or something that I'm missing. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is a part of Summerween. I don't know. But Disney just dropped a 52 item Haunted Mansion line. And there are items that are specific to the parks versus what you'll find on the Disney store. But this collection is themed around the Ghost Toast.
Yeah, now, forgive me for saying this, but isn't the Ghost Toast There's Always My Way?
Yes.
He's a disembodied voice. Except for a skeleton that's hanging overhead, which, by the way, is one of these things where evidently the Imagineers periodically look at that and it's like, that's kind of in bad taste. Do we really still want that up there? It's like, yes. But he's invisible. How are we doing Ghost House merchandise? I mean, he's invisible for 90% of the attraction, but how?
I'm sorry, I have no answer for you. I have no answer. But I mean, it is cute. We're getting baseball jerseys finally for the Haunted Mansion. You know, we've talked about baseball jerseys several times on this show.
Lainey must be happy.
Yeah, there's actually they're pretty great. The baseball jerseys are black. They look like they have maybe like a gray pinstripe, and they just say the Haunted Mansion in the logo on the front, and then the Haunted Mansion emblem on the sides. So I was most excited for that. They did release a new Spirit jersey as a part of this. Shocker. You can get the oh my gosh, this dress is so ridiculous. It's the wallpaper pattern with those like ruffly collars. Mm-hmm. It's something. I feel like it's going to be at the Character Warehouse maybe. But there are a lot of tabletop decorations. There's the Spirit jersey, going back to that real quick, is kind of cute because it is like the costume of the workers, like the green with the stripes, and it actually has like the name tag that says Ghost Host. So maybe you're the Ghost Host.
Okay. All right. I'm literally pulling this up now, and it's just
you have to see it.
Okay, so it's purple. It's got a glow-in-the-dark design, and it's actually made by Spirit Jersey, right? So
yes. I mean, I don't know. I'm for it. I like the Haunted Mansion. I like anything Leona. Mm-hmm. But there are 52 items back to that. If you're on the Disney store and you're counting them and there's not 52 specifically, it might be because some are park exclusive. So I encourage you to check that out, disneystore.com. And then on to our last scary item. Mm-hmm. For today, and that is Dinosaur. That is the commemorative massive dinosaur collection that is coming out outside of the ride's permanent closure in 2026. Have you seen any of that merch?
I have not, but I have to admit, it makes me happy that they're doing this, given that they didn't do anything for Muppet Vision 3D. What is it? This T-shirt where it says, "It's fast, it's a blast, it's in the past." And what is it? "The future truly is in the past." I mean, I like that they're now doing this.
By the way, I think I'm going to wear my Miss Piggy shirt just to show my support to the Muppets when I'm down there.
Well,
Poor
now,
Muppets.
interesting you said that, because as it's been explained to me, the reason they didn't do any Muppet Vision 3D merch for the closing was the notion of, well, the Muppets are not going away. They're just moving within the park. In fact, they're moving to one of the most popular attractions in the park, the Rock and Roller Coaster, formerly with Aerosmith, now with Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem. So the notion is we couldn't make merch for the Muppets going away because they're not going away. But at the same time, as you mentioned, there are those of us who love these characters and walking around the studio wearing Miss Piggy. It's like, yeah, I remember her. She used to have a show. So
I have to tell you, Jim, I just have to tell you, go back to the dinosaur. I'm crying because I was, I don't know if you go on like Instagram Reels or TikTok or anything. And one night I was scrolling through and it was the front of the dinosaur ride. And I don't know what kind of dinosaur that is, if it's a brontosaurus, but it was playing Sarah McLachlan, the To the Eyes of the Angel. And it was so sad and funny. At the same time, I was literally crying. I was just scrolling through this merch. But anyways, you are getting with this, the t-shirt, like Jim said, it's fast, it's a blast, it's in the past, the future is truly in the past. I feel like they phoned it in with this design, by the way. It looks like something very generic, like generic Jurassic Park or something. But you're getting a water bottle and a magnet and a pin, and you can get those right now at the Animal Kingdom. And reminder, the ride will remain open through the end of 2025, and then we'll be making way for the new Indiana Jones attraction that is coming to Tropical Americas, opening in 2027.
Yeah, and again, forgive me for being a whiny baby man. I love that you got to go to the Dino Institute shop to get this. And you're right. I wish the design were a little sharper. I mean, it's especially during the summer when, Universal is making money hand over fist. With Jurassic World Rebirth, or for that matter, have you seen what they're doing out at Hollywood for this summer at Universal Studios Hollywood?
No.
Their Jurassic World, the ride, they have added a Mosasaur splash, which means where you previously got soaked, now you might as well have just stepped out of the boat and gotten in the water. You're that wet. And they have a lovely little walk around dinosaur. I want to say it's Dolores from the movie, that they've got a cast member carrying around it in a backpack. And they leaned into it because, that they know people respond to specific dinosaurs. And that's the thing. When I look at what Disney's done here, it's kind of a generic design, but what is it they say? Don't be happy that it came to an end. Just be happy that it happened at all. So
yes. Are we saying that about the merch? Because I'm not really that happy that this was the design they went with. It doesn't even say Disney or Animal Kingdom. It looks like it came from Walmart.
Yeah, I know. But on the other hand, for us Muppet Vision fans, it's just like, well, We wanted that, and we didn't get it. So at least for the Dinosaur the Ride folks, they got that. So
all right.
But it's all a game, folks. That's what it is. It's all a game. All right. And speaking of games, when we come back from this break, we are going to talk about how we got Disneyland themed board games. But first, this.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet. For a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
And we're back. All right. So on the previous installment of this series, we talked about how we got a Disneyland and how ABC came in to help fund the construction of the park. But, again, it opens July of 55. But again, Walt is this genius marketer, especially when it comes to merchandise. And so, Lauren, we're going to talk about the very first retail program for the Disneyland parks, specifically for Disneyland Park in Anaheim in the mid-1950s. And how do we know what they had? I'm going to give everybody a homework assignment here. You're going to Google Disneyland Mail Order Catalog 1957. And what will come up will shock you, because it's everything that's on sale in the Emporium back then. Now, mind you, Walt kind of had a rule when it came to merchandise that was for his brand new Family Fun Park. And it's basically, can you see the name? And would people display it at home? Okay, we can do that. And so when you go through these products, I mean, some of them are really kind of ingenious. For example, there's a baby bib. So you take your child out in public and you have to feed it and you put the baby bib on and oh, you've been to Disneyland. What's that like? On the other hand, if your child is creative, again, just like Walt Disney, there's a crayon apron, there's an artist smock. But there's also the stuff you can display in the garage. So there's like the Disneyland pennant that you can put up on the wall. But at the same time, if mom wants to show off to her friends and family, they sell sterling silver souvenir spoons.
I remember those.
There you go. But there's also a compact with the Disneyland logo on it. There's a pillbox. And now there's jewelry. There's a bracelet that has attractions from the 50s on them. So for example, there's a little teeny tiny horse-drawn trolley and a castle and a Jungle Cruise boat. If, on the other hand, you're not an especially subtle person, there's a bracelet that literally has the letters that spell out Disneyland, D-I-S-N, hey, look where I've been. There's also a key to Disneyland that comes with a scatter pin. And what I especially love about it, given that Tinkerbell was from the very first episode of the Disneyland television show, where Walt literally turns and says, "Hey, Tinkerbell," and she flies in to help him with the presentation of the initial show. She was always a part of the Disneyland TV show. I mean, she opened it. She was part of the opening credits, but she was also a huge part of Disneyland. And so you could buy a Tinkerbell charm for your charm bracelet, just right alongside Sleeping Beauty Castle. Now, On the other hand, Walt's thinking, all right, what are other ways we can get this place in front of people? So it's like, oh, you got a drink? Well, we have a tumbler set. Or you have to carry the drinks into the room. How about an aluminum tray with the castle on it? And this is the 50s. We still smoke. So ashtrays with the castle. Or you got to eat and you got to season your food, salt and pepper shakers. On the other hand, if you have that display shelf around the edge of your kitchen, well, how about a German beer stein with Sleeping Beauty castle on it? Or for that matter, collector plates. Now, some of the things get a little interesting. In fact, in today's age, where a lot of folks proudly display their ink, back in the 50s, tattoos didn't have quite the cachet that they do today, and so that's why Walt was like, all right, well, we'll sell temporary Disneyland tattoos. So it's like you can display it proudly until it washes off. On the other hand, when we get to this one, this is the one that kind of breaks people's hearts because these things were made and went out into the world, and the collectors that have them carry them to the grave. Lauren, this is a beautifully detailed replica of the boat from the Jungle Cruise, which back in the day sold for a whopping $4.95. But what the kicker is that if you were really a Jungle Cruise fan, they'd also sell you a skipper's shirt. They call it a Disneyland's boatman sport shirt. But again, for the same fee, $4.95, you could dress like somebody who worked the Jungle Cruise and then pilot your tiny little Jungle Cruise boat around the bathtub. Now, what's interesting about this book, again published in '57, is that it's after the Davy Crockett craze has blown itself out. So, it's fascinating. You open the Frontierland page and you figure, oh, there's got to be Davy Crockett merch for sale. And oh, God, no. That's already gone to whatever the 50s equivalent of the Character Warehouse was. And so we have a Frontierland poppin' pistol, we have a fire and smoke rifle, and we have a leather belt. And that's literally it.
The leather belt is a little weird to me. Just saying.
Well, the interesting thing is you could pick between leather belt or leather beaded belt, as in, are you a Cowboys fan or are you an Indians fan? On the other hand, for Adventureland, and again, another thing that really breaks people's hearts is there in this catalog are models from the Man in Space TV show, the thing that Ward Kimball did with Walt and, by the way, Werner von Braun. And again, same thing. You could get this beautiful space station or rocket that looks like it's right out of Star Trek for just $4. And per usual, this is stuff we see even today in the Disney theme parks, is the T-shirts. Though what's so funny is you can tell what recently opened in the park because they promote, you want to get a T-shirt, get it for your Tom Sawyer and your Huck Finn, because just recently Tom Sawyer's Island had opened at Disneyland. And at the same time, if you want to show off to your friends and bring them over to the house and show slides of Disneyland, you can buy complete sets of color slides of individual lands in the park: Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, Frontierland, Adventureland. But again, there's also fascinating a set of slides just for the Grand Canyon diorama, which had just opened at Disneyland. And it's like, wow, really? You want to show your friends and family some of the worst taxidermy that's been done in the history of man? It's like, okay, that's an interesting choice. But anyway, it's all about Walt just kept saying, I want this stuff to be the sort of things that people have in their house, that friends will see and go, oh, you've been to Disneyland. What was that like? So it's memo pads, it's lighters, it's playing cards, it's, a leather purse where, they've hammered in the Sleeping Beauty castle on the front of it. On the other hand, you could get a copy of the book, The Story of Walt Disney as Told by Diane Disney Miller, which it was ghostwritten by entertainment reporter Bob Thomas. But you could also get the famous Sam McKim Disneyland souvenir map that now goes for hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
We've been talking about all this stuff on I Want That Too. We talked about The Man in Space. We talked about Sam McKim. We were just knocking them off.
Well, but here's the thing that'll kill you. But it's so funny because it's the Amazon playbook. That at the last page of this catalog for the Disneyland mail order, in big letters it says, "We pay all postage." So it's like, I will absolutely order all sorts of stuff, and so much of it, Lauren, when you look at this, is $1. It's $2, and when you go like the Van Eaton auction that just happened for Disneyland, and it's like, oh yeah, it's the same price even today, with several other zeros behind that number, but it's got a 1 in the front of it. But anyway, speaking of costs of things, when we get back, we're going to talk about stuff that was done for the park merch-wise that were lost leaders. But first, this.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love, starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Got some good news for your ears. More of that good stuff is coming up. And even better news for your hair. The best hair care is at Sephora. They've got all kinds of products for every kind of hair. From brands like Amika, Kerastase, Day, and K18. You knew where to get great audio. Now, you know where to get great hair care, too. Sephora. Good news for great hair. Shop hair care now at Sephora.com.
And we're back. All right. Another homework assignment for folks. I want you to Google the first souvenir book for Disneyland. In fact, I want to say the search terms would be Disneyland Souvenir Guidebook 55. And what you'll find is, well, Lauren, this is produced so early in the process, they don't even have a picture of the castle on the cover because they hadn't finished building it yet. All right, so it's Walt literally with a pointer standing in front of the piece of concept art for Disneyland from the TV show. It's like, this is what we're going to build. But this was published by Color Pictures. Those are publisher in Boston. It's a 6-inch by 8.75 inches and is printed on good, heavy cardstock. And I once got to sit down with Marty Sklar. He was, again, for many years, the president of Walt Disney Imagineering. Just out of USC, Walt hired him to effectively write the Disneyland newspaper, and he did a lot of jobs for PR-wise. So he was very privy to a lot of things that were going on early on in Disneyland history, and he told me this story about this guidebook. And he was in the office when one of the guys who worked in retail came in and said, Walt, I just saw the invoice for the guidebook for the park. And he said, yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? Said, well, absolutely lovely. Full color, good paper stock and that sort of thing. But we're charging guests 25 cents a piece for those things. He says, yeah, so? He says, they cost 27 cents to print. And then we have to ship them here. We're losing money. We should up the price on that thing, or go to a less glossy cardstock, or maybe fewer color pictures. And Walt's like, absolutely not. No, that stays exactly as it is, and it stays at that exact price point. And I'll tell you why. It says that thing goes home with people, and they put it on their coffee table, and their friends and family come over and they pick it up, and they see this beautifully printed thing, and they turn the pages and see all the full color pictures, and the first thing they think of is, wow, I want to go there too. So yeah, we're losing money. We're losing pennies on what we spend to print that thing. But the people who come here to this park just because they saw that at a friend's house or at a relative's house, they're on that coffee table, we're making that money back tenfold. So we don't need to be cheap about this. We have to think long range. And in fact, this now, finally, hey, we're here at the Disneyland inspired board games. Because same thing. Walt was, these are going into people's houses. These are things that kids are going to pull out and play in the family room. So we want these things to be nice and solid and look great. We want as many of them to celebrate individual lands at the park. So there's a Disneyland Frontier land game that Parker Brothers makes. Likewise, there's a Mickey Mouse Club game that one's done by Whitman. But what's interesting is that one's kind of a twofer because it promotes both the Mickey Mouse Club television show as well as the opening of Disneyland. But then there's the one, Lauren. This is my absolute favorite. This is, in fact, I shared this image with you as well. And we're going to tell folks what to look for online. You are looking for the Disneyland Fantasyland game from 1955. And it has an absolutely wonderful painting on the cover of Sleeping Beauty Castle. And then in front of you is virtually every Disney character that has appeared in a full-length animated film and the shorts up until 1955. So, if you look around the periphery of this thing, ooh, there's the Three Little Pigs, and oh, look, there's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and there's Alice, and there's Peter Pan, and there's Mr. Smee walking in the Sleeping Beauty Castle. But what I want you to look for and pay attention to is there's a rabbit lying down in a wagon. And he's in between the March Hare and the Mad Hatter from Disney's Alice in Wonderland. And here's the thing. Disney to this day insists, oh, that's Max Hare. That's the rabbit from The Tortoise and the Hare, a Silly Symphony short that came out in 1935. And we actually had a sequel produced the following year, Toby Tortoise Returns, came out in 36. But anybody who knows anything about cartoon characters looks at that rabbit and it's like, that's not Max Hare. That's Bugs Bunny. And what happened there? Because, not to make too fine a point of it, but Max Hare in the Silly Symphony short, he has a white sweater on with, I want to say, orange sleeves. Whereas this very, very, in fact, it's kind of a Bob Clampett take on Bugs. Is wearing an orange sweater. They didn't even pretend, whoever was doing this didn't even pretend that it was Max Hare. It's like, I'm sneaking Bugs Bunny into a Disneyland game, and let's see if I can get away with it. And they did.
Well, they did put a tortoise in their defense.
They did. But that's the thing.
There's definitely a turtle.
But this thing, that is not Max Hare. That's Bugs Bunny.
Listen, Disney is known for sneaking things in.
They are. In fact, I forget. A friend was just sharing information about the Easter eggs in Elio, which I have to share at some point. By the way, we're hearing that Pixar film will be showing up on Disney Plus by mid-September. So if you're not rushing out to theaters to see it, don't worry, it'll be on Disney Plus soon. But anyway, Lauren, what we probably should do in the future, because we were just talking about those 52 items for the Haunted Mansion, that, I guess a lot of them will be available in Memento Mori at the Magic Kingdom. In fact, when you and the family are there to check out Starlight, might want to swing in and see how many of these things you see in person.
I know, and I will also be sure to report if we get any new Little Mermaid merch, because there's a new show and a new villain show.
Yeah, to see, but the reason I brought up the Haunted Mansion merch is that, in the mid 2000s, 2010s thereabout, the Disney parks made a deal with Hasbro, and they then began offering board games that weren't Fantasyland or Frontierland. They were specific attractions. And in fact, I want to say one of the more interesting bends on this story, a very popular offering, was the Haunted Mansion Clue. Did you ever see that?
No.
No. Well, all right. Well, tell you what. Further on down the line, folks, after the Herseys get back from their trip to Florida, maybe we'll circle back on that, discussing the next generation of Disney games that were, but this time, instead of tied generally to lands, these were very specific to individual attractions. And Hasbro did some really nice work. It's definitely worth us eyeballing and discussing.
Yeah, and seeing which ones I own.
Okay.
I do have a lot of Disney park games.
Well, again, you were just talking about your organizing, you and Eric. So
it would blow your mind if you saw how many Disney games
no, we should definitely, and that's all the more reason we should circle back on the Hasbro topic to find out, it can be the equivalent of baseball cards. It's like, need it, got it, need it.
We'll compare notes.
There we go.
Well, I do think on that note, though, Jim, it is time we close up shop for today.
I agree. You got a trip. Get to go on. But anyway, if you want to keep up on everything happening across the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, please follow us on social. And don't forget to check out Patreon for bonus shows and early access.
Yep. And if you like today's episode, make sure to leave us a quick review. It really helps more people find us, and we really appreciate it.
And speaking of reaching out, if you have a question or even an idea that you want Lauren and I to explore in a future episode, just shoot us a message. I can be reached at Jim Hill Media, and Lauren, you're Lauren at LaurenHersey.com, right?
Yes, I am. And we also like to get your DMs and your messages too, so make sure you reach out. But on that note, thank you for listening, and that does it for this episode. We'll see you next time on I Want That Too.